What we've got here is a fairly interesting piece of stereo equipment. It is a Vector Research stereo cassette deck, and our focus has lost the plot here. Model number VCX 400. It is a single deck unit with a lot of fancy controls. If we go ahead and have a look here, we can see that it claims to have a Duralloy head, full logic solenoid control, and also Dolby B and C noise reduction. I was very shocked to see Dolby C noise reduction on what is probably a unit, I don't know, I would say this might be from the 1980s, maybe the early 1990s. It is fairly similar in styling to another unit I've got up there, JVC, what is that, something A11 or something or another, I don't quite remember, but it's a JVC single deck. But that one's actually got analog VU meters, but this one has only got, you know, the standard LED VU meters. And it seems to go up to plus 8 dB. That's another interesting difference. I think most of them only go up to plus 6, or even only to plus 4 in some cases. Other interesting things, you can see there's a red thing in there. Actually, you can't because the camera light's on, and you still can't really see it. Oh, that's not very good. You'll trust me on that. As soon as I turn it on, you'll know what it is. There's the eject headphone output. It is not volume control. It's just a single volume headphone output. Stereo, I'd assume. There's our controls for Dolby B and C noise reduction. The one on the left turns it on or off, and the one on the right is for engaging C. If it's off, it's just B. And also the MPX filter for recording. I do not have any tapes that I can record onto right now, so I can't demonstrate any recording functionality. There's a tape selector. I'm not 100% positive what CO1 and CO2 are supposed to be. I've seen CrO2 before, which is chromium dioxide. That's the type 2 tapes. But I'm not sure what the difference is between the two switches. I just have it on iron, which is the lowest end. I believe that's type 1. I'm not 100% positive, and somebody will correct me in the comments anyways. But it's nice to see it. You can switch it. It's just a standard control. It's electronic. There's our input control volume for the microphone. Separate inputs for mono left and right. There's our playback controls, including the record mute feature, which some people have asked about. That's for adding 5 seconds of silence for decks that do track search, or song search, I guess is what it's called. Like the Technics up there when they're fast forwarding or rewinding. 5 seconds of silence is required in order to separate the tracks. We've got a counter up here, which we can reset. And should reset, because we're at the end of the tape here. As well as a memory button, which I'm curious about, because I'm not quite sure what it seems to do. If I put it in, I can still reset, and it still counts. So I'm not quite sure what the memory is. Maybe it's broken for all I know. Then also curious up here, if it'll focus on it, is a bias adjustment. Seems kind of dangerous to expose that to the user, but it's also a sign of high quality equipment. So that was fairly interesting to find. When we look at the back, we can see even more interesting stuff, but we'll get into that in a minute. I'd like to point this out. I haven't seen this on any deck before, but it's no doubt very common to have it. There's a 1 amp fuse in there. And I did double check and make sure that it wasn't replaced with like pennies or something. Not that a penny would fit in there. Here's some information. 30 watt. There's a remote control here. I'm not sure if that's for a plug-in remote for the unit itself, or if that's to plug into a separate, like a stereo receiver or something that would have the remote control on it. Usually that's what that is. It's the latter of the two. There's our input and output controls and some more text up here. Date is down there. The camera will not focus on that. I already know. It says BN. I'm not quite sure what that means. And we've also got serial number. Something you'll notice is that there is absolutely no depiction of any French text on here, which is something that is very common in this part of the world, obviously being Canada, and close to the Quebec border. But something else that's even more interesting is this up here. If we get a closer look at it, you can see it says City of Los Angeles, founded in 1781, approved for electrical safety, Department of Building and Safety. Well, actually, it would be City of Los Angeles, Department of Building and Safety. You got a code there. So that's even more interesting. It seems as though this unit may have come from the city of LA, which is a very, very far away for something like this to travel. I can only imagine that somebody had bought it while living in the state of LA, or not the state of LA, the state of California, the city of LA, and moved up here, brought it with them, and then decided, well, you know what, I no longer want it, and donated it to the thrift store. But that's really interesting. I've never seen something like that. That's a very long trek for a piece of stereo equipment to take. Alright, I think I've done enough blabbing. Let's go ahead and have a run-up. Okay, let's go ahead and give it some power. So you can see that orange thing as we hear a protection relay cut out, which is a good sign. That's for telling you how much tape, well, it's a cue guide. That's what I'm going to call it. It's a cue guide. So you can cue it correctly according to the indentations that are on the cassette. I bet you a lot of you were wondering what those were for. Those are actually song, you know, each song is within the gap of one of those little cue lines. So you can easily tell which song is which when you're trying to cue something up. Very handy thing to have, and some tapes don't actually have them. It's fairly annoying, actually. One thing I'd like to say in full disclosure, these controls are not in the best of condition. They work, but they require some force in order to operate. I can only guess, especially the stop button, I can only guess that somebody was being violent with these one day and broke something. I'm going to have to go inside the unit and take a look. But we'll go ahead and hit play and have a little bit of a demonstration of that. And you can see the control stickiness there. Should have volume. Gotta wait for the tape to start playing anyways. There we go. There you can see it in operation. Alright, we'll turn that off before I get my video muted. There's our VU meters. Rather cool looking. We can fast forward. Seems that the play and the stop are the two that are the worst. You can rewind. There's a look at our control here. You can see that even with the memory selected, it doesn't seem to really do much. Not quite sure. I'm not going to touch that bias adjustment. Pause works. And if you're forceful with it, you can get the stop to work. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn that volume back up so we can have a listen to some of the like Dolby B and C. Sounds like crap on a tape that it's not designed for. Come on. There we go. And I believe that's pretty much all I can really think of to demonstrate on this. There's not really much that I can do. Eventually it will stop like that. It seems to be a little bit slower on the stopping than all of my other decks are, but it does work. So, like I said, that's really about all that I can think of to say as concerns this cassette deck, all that I can really demonstrate. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then. cassette deck.